Today I want to talk to you about the power of naming yourself as an artist before other people do it for you. Because the moment you don't name yourself, the world will, and they eventually will get it wrong. And most artists think this is something that you'll figure out later once you have fans, once you have leverage, but I can guarantee you that that is backwards. The earlier you can name yourself, the less likely you'll be to get bent out of shape later on in your career. I want you to ask yourself, if somebody asked me right now what kind of artist I am, would I fumble over my words, or would I be able to clearly articulate who I am and what I stand for? If not, then that's something that you need to work on. This is something that should be one of the first things that you do when you start to gain some attention and some traction, is make sure that you understand who you are. And there's that scene in The Matrix where above the door when Neo meets the Oracle, it says, "Know thyself." It's not just spiritual advice, it's practical advice. And I feel like I could do an entire episode on that one phrase, but for now, if you don't know who you are, you can't defend it. And if you can't defend it, somebody else will redesign it for you. As an artist, as anything that you're creating and you're putting forth into the world, you need to be able to articulate who you are, what you stand for, what you do. If you don't have that short sentence or two figured out, one, the conversation dies out. Two, you don't sound as confident. Three, they're more likely to form their own opinion of you. Eventually, every artist ends up in that elevator scene. They get asked, what kind of music do you make? And the answer isn't for them, it's for you. Because when you can answer that question, the right doors will open faster and the wrong ones will close themselves. And I want to be clear here, naming yourself isn't picking a genre. It's naming the through line. Genres can change, but your identity doesn't. Think about artists like Post Malone. How many different genres has he jumped through? But his identity, you can look through and it remains the same through and through. You can think of it like genre is the clothing. Identity is the body that's underneath the clothing. And it's in those little moments where like actual careers are made, you hear it like 9 times out of 10 in documentaries. And if you don't have that, that's not the only reason that you should have it. But if you don't have that, you miss out on those opportunities. Naming yourself isn't just branding fluff. It is setting a boundary. It's saying yes to the right things and no to the wrong things without having to apologize. So when you're coming up in the music industry, you'll see this far too often where an artist will start out, they'll have like cool creative direction and everything, and then you'll notice that they go either hypersexual or they'll go maybe darker, or they'll change altogether. And I can tell you that is because they have not established their brand, they have not established who they are, and they can't fight back when these labels or these bigger investors come in. What these labels will do is they'll be like, oh, we'll hire our creative people, we'll hire our videographers, we'll hire our team to go because we know this will work. And while there's nothing wrong with that, you are sacrificing your long-term vision and your brand for the sake of fast attention. Artists who don't name themselves slowly get rewritten, and it's one compromise at a time until they don't recognize themselves anymore. Let's say you're an abuse victim and you're like, I make rock music that stands up for people that have been abused. That's the theme of my lyrics. It's just in the theme of my visuals. And you get signed to a label. They tell you, oh, we're gonna do a music video. You're gonna be like tied up and somebody's gonna kidnap you or whatever, and you're like, this is absolutely not what I wanna do. What I stand for is against abuse, so actually no, this is why it won't work. My fans won't like it, and it won't be good for anybody. So when you have that solidified, and when you haven't named yourself, you can't push back, you don't have the language for it. And when you have named yourself, you can say, this doesn't fit who I am, and here's why. It's so much easier to defend. It just helps to know where your flag sits in the ground so that people can't move it. Now, the third reason it's super important to name who you are, there's something that happens in our minds when we put a name to something. In the story, The Littlest Prince, the fox tells the prince, you become responsible forever for what you have tamed. But I like to think of it differently. You become responsible forever for what you have named, because the moment that you name yourself as an artist, you become responsible for protecting that identity. You don't get pulled left and right as easily, and you have a position to defend. it'll crystallize this idea in people's minds of who you are. And as humans, our brains need categories. And when something is unnamed or unknown, it floats around in our heads. And when it has a clear definition, it sticks in people's minds. And if they can't name you, they can't remember you. And if they can't remember you, then they won't listen to you. You know, when you are rotating around somebody at a party and you haven't really met them yet, but you've said hi, but as soon as you introduce yourself, you learn their name, it does something in your brain where you're like, I can now categorize this person, that becomes conscious in your mind of that is who that person is. And the same is true when you're an artist and you're building your career. If you are on stage and people are having a hard time figuring out who you are and what you stand for, it will be hard for them to categorize you. It'll be hard for them to understand if they even resonate with your art. And there might be a lot of artists out there that'll be like, oh, well, like, I want to be John Rulis and you can't define me. And it's like, well, great. But then you need to name that as who you are. You need to make that resistance your identity. If you're undefinable, say it clearly, wear it like a badge of honor, and don't let confusion be accidental. And people will be able to understand who you are. It'll just make life a lot easier for you as an artist. So in any business, and especially in art, make sure you understand who you are. And if you don't name you, the world will try to do it for you. And once the world names you, it's very hard to take it back. So plant your flag early, say it loud, and protect it.